I just want us to take a look at this story. I'll read the story and then I'll have my guest introduce to you, and then we'll take it away. All right, reconsider mass revocation of public sector jobs. TUC to Mahama. Now, the Trade Unions Congress, TUC of Ghana, has condemned the government's directive to revoke all public sector appointments and recruitments made after December 7th, 2024, describing it as unfair and harmful to young professionals. Now, the directive issued by Chief of Staff Julius Debra on February 10th, 2025, instructed all heads of government institutions to annul appointments made after the stated date, arguing that such recruitments were not in line with good governance practices. However, the TUC, in a statement signed by the General Secretary Joshua Ansah, raised concerns over the mass termination of workers, including those who had been on contract for several years before their appointments were regularized in December 2024. Now, the union described the move as heartbreaking and a serious threat to job security, particularly for young professionals entering the workforce for the first time. And I quote, "We find the directive by the Chief of Staff very problematic, to say the least. Not only is his directive open to abuse, but we find it extremely difficult to understand how the government could describe all appointments or recruitments made after December 7th, 2024 as not in compliance with good governance practices and principles. The issue of midnight appointments stroke recruitments has been a recurring practice that has alternated between the NDC and the MPP. Statements from both MPP and NDC on this matter demonstrate their insincerity," the quote continues, "and inconsistency in their pronouncements and policies," part of the TUC statement read. All right. It goes on to say, the union called on President John Dramani Mahama to halt the mass terminations, arguing that revoking the appointments of teachers, nurses, and other professionals who have already struggled to secure employment could have devastating socio-economic consequences. The TUC urged the president to follow the same amnesty approach granted to security agency recruits and extend it to all affected public sector employees. And there's a quote here to end the story. It says, "The TUC calls on His Excellency John Dramani Mahama to stop the ongoing terminations of appointments in the public service. The mass termination of employment of teachers, nurses, and others who have been educated at great cost to their families and the nation, and who may have stayed at home for years struggling to obtain employment, can be devastating for these young men and women. It's a blot on our democratic credentials. It can also completely sap the patriotism of these young men and women," the Congress added. And so that's the story that we'll be delving into shortly. And my guests are here. They're seated. I want to introduce to you. I have joining me on the set, Awo Edubia Kekeli. She speaks for the NDC, and I have with me as well Lawuratu Musah-Saakah. She speaks for the NPP. Ladies, you are both welcome.
Thank you for having us.
How are you doing?
Great.
You did add she's your resident staffer.
Oh, awesome then.
Because
Who is your resident staffer?
Because the rate at which everyone who has been coming here has been recognized, and she's still, I'm not sure. Last week I was telling Chris to check with some men. Probably she's your resident staffer.
This your agenda. This your agenda will not agenda.
The way staffers are being assigned across the country. Maybe she's your resident staffer. You should check.
Why are you being impatient with the process? Allow time.
It's not a matter of patience. I'm just curious because everyone who comes here.
What's your response?
Let her mention the name. I've met Natwe here. She's sorted. Saadatu is Ajwa.
What about the people who used to show up in Adabraka? Do you remember? There's a whole lot of people.
Please, we are not talking about Adabraka. I'm talking about this set.
Miss Sechi-Edu.
Oh, she's been sorted out.
I'm
Yes.
telling you,
So even from Adabraka days. Elom and all. Everybody. So what's happening? Why? What did you do?
Please, if you don't want to show by force, so you don't have to respond.
You didn't show working.
Okay, look, let's progress.
Oh, okay. I'm just curious. It's strange.
Okay.
Because she's been around longer than all these people.
Let's leave that there. Let me start with you on this story. So the mass revocation of TUC is requesting the president to put a halt to this thing that has been happening. Your thoughts on it and take on this.
Good morning to good morning to our viewers. We discussed this when the release was the chief of staff made that gave that directive. The TUC couldn't have released a better statement. Yesterday someone was saying, they should have released it earlier to nip it in the bud. But better late than never. They couldn't have released a better statement. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't. These are Ghanaians who have been given employment. These are youth of Ghana. These are people with families. And the president then candidate promised a Ghana for all. So is this the Ghana for all? That by virtue of the fact that you were employed by a previous administration, you automatically become part of that administration, even though you've gone through all the processes to get employment, to take all these things affect people's mental health. All these things break down families. It comes with its own social impacts, and it needs to be looked at carefully. Even if we want to go by the directive, they said after 7th December. I've cited letters of people who were given employment in September. Being
as far back as September.
Yes, being laid off. And like I said, when Felix was granting an interview, and he was asked, what law are you referring to? He couldn't mention one single law that we're using to implement or revoke these appointments. And even in his own submission, he said that some of them, most of them, in some institutions, why won't you do due diligence? Definitely, if someone has been employed against the procedures or the processes required, obviously, that person shouldn't be there. But these are people who've gone through the processes. And these processes are not events. They are not a one-day thing. You just don't go submit your application, submit your CV, and you are called to come and work. For public service institutions, you need a technical clearance. You need to go through the whole processes of interview and other requirements of the institution. Wait for a financial clearance to be issued before you are given appointment letters. Because definitely, if there's no financial clearance, you can't be, if they put you on, how are they going to pay you? So these things take time. And we need, in the name of having a Ghana for all and letting every Ghanaian feel like they are in their country and they are safe. And they have the right to also benefit from employment and other opportunities that the country offers. I think the TUC couldn't have issued a better letter. And this is something that if the new administration believes that they are here for Ghanaians, believe that they are here to make this nation better, they should heed to the score.
The Minister of State in charge of government communication and spokesperson for the president had said earlier that, and I'm going to quote him from a story on citynewsroom.com published on the 19th of February. He said, let me also put it on record that this action has been taken not because of a perception or belief that that's the people who have been, whose jobs have been revoked, were MPP. Is because we know that the recruitment processes were attended by irregularities. Okay? Then he goes on to say, again I quote, in due course, government will do recruitment and it will be open to all Ghanaians irrespective of political coloration. Indeed, your party identity will not be required. You will not be asked to show whether you are MPP or NDC when that comes. But we will do it in a regular manner, he explained. Now, the final quote here says, so even those who have had their employment revoked will still have the opportunity to reapply and go through due process. So, unlike what some suggestions have been made that there's going to be a relook at the processes they went through, and if yours is found to be free of challenges, you may be reinstated. This is what he's saying here, that there will be no reinstatement. Everybody is going to have to reapply and go through the process again.
And this is coming from the spokesperson
Yes.
of a government that says they are coming to cut costs.
Okay. All right.
It doesn't it sound ridiculous that state funds have been used to conduct a process, right? People have been given appointment letters. You claim they didn't go through due process. That you haven't been able to even point out what those breaches were. You are now going to do away with all those things. Because for some of these interview panels, when you need an expert to sit on the panels, you pay the person an allowance from state funds. So you are coming to cut costs and you want to start every process. And you see, cutting costs is not only about the financial aspect, time wastage. Whatever contribution these staff would have been making to the efficiency or effectiveness of the institutions they be employed, we are not going to feel it. They are sitting at home. Apart from that, whatever mental situation they are going to go through is going to affect our health bill. Because they'll seek health care. Whatever social impact, whatever deviant behavior they are going to go in. You spoke about drug abuse and all that.
Yeah.
Substance abuse and all that. Everybody and how they react to some of these depressing situations. And they haven't thought through all those things. For a government that said they were coming for, and it's it's so amazing that for a candidate, now president, who stood on a platform and said that he's not going to behave like the previous administration and that nobody will be sacked when he becomes president, his chief of staff issues such a blanket directive, and this is the excuse the spokesperson is giving, then we have a long way to go.
All right. I will.
Yes, sir.
Yes, your take on this.
Good morning to my mischievous sister here and yourself and everybody watching us this morning. We are grateful that they always sit behind their sets to hear us speak to them. It's not like we are the wisest people, but it's just sheer grace. You know, when I hear the MPP ranting about this, I get confused sometimes. I'm not saying that what they did, we should repeat it, or we should say that because they did it, we're also doing it. But honestly, for you to do appointments just after you have lost an election, it has so much issues. Do you understand? Especially when these people are your people, you could have fixed them all this while. What we are hearing is, some of them have this appointment long ago. And we know, and I'm sure they also know that some of them, they have to backdate their appointment so that it will look like they've been in the system already. But does it reflect in accountant general? No, because they have not been part of the system. How do we get money to pay them now? When our budgets have been read out already, whatever we need for salaries has been spelled out. And you are now bringing in extra people. I know for one, this thing, what I heard was that they even realized that most of the people who were appointed to that place or employed were not even paid through the pay slip or whatever. They don't have pay slip. They were giving checks at the end of every month to go to banks and all that to cash your money. Is that what we do as government outfits or corporate institutions under the under government whatever payroll? No, that's not what we do. So if some of these things have to be done, we have to correct it. We are resetting a nation, and we can't allow the old things to still go on and think that we can reset the nation and fix it. No. So in this case, we are begging the TUC. I'm happy they are speaking now, because at a point they lost their voices in this country. We know what happened when you open your mouth.
Since when?
When was the last time they spoke? Let me give you last year.
Was it the TUC that forced the government's hand, when it came to the illegal mining issue and all of that?
And what happened to that?
They lost their voice.
They were not speaking when it comes to certain issues in this country. It was only the Galamsey thing when they now realized that even the fathers of this nation, like the Catholic bishops and all that, were on the streets.
The Catholic bishops you refused to invite for the education forum.
And they are there. Whether we did it then or now, they are there. Yeah, the most important thing is they were part of the forum.
I see.
They came and they also gave their input. Do you understand? It's not like anybody, whether they protest or not, it's better late than none. Because during your tenure, there were a lot of things you will not even call stakeholders.
Their voice, then it's better late than never.
I said I'm happy that now they found their voices. They are now speaking to issues which will put us on our toes as a government so that we do the right things. But for some of the things, it's not everything we also will have to take just lying down. We are resetting a nation, so we have to make sure that the right things have to be done. You can't employ somebody after 7th December and backdate it to September or October or let's say June, July, just to make it look good. Where is the person's pay slip? They don't have one. You paid them in December through a check.
Okay.
So that
you have.
Yes, Erika J has evidence of that.
Okay.
He was interviewed on one of your stations.
No, but that's just NEIP.
That is, how sure are you? Because he's the one we've heard spoken so far.
Who else has come with anything?
No, and it's because we've not asked the questions at the right places. So if one person has come out, then you should know that some of these things cast across. Do you understand? Okay. Why is it that if all those workers we know back then, let's say they were employed a year before 2024, are still there and nobody have touched them. So we shouldn't be doing this to ourselves. We want the betterment of this nation. We don't want to be doing the old things and we are expecting to get new results. So that they will say that, and we said this and we said that, and we are doing something different. If you want to do something good and you want to reset, change will have to come in. And some of the changes might not be favorable to everybody. Some of the changes might not be sweet or palatable. It might be bitter, to make sure that at the end of it, we get the good out of that. Why do we punish our kids when they go wrong? Is it because we don't love them? No. But because we want to see them on the right path, to make sure that the next time they do those things, they do it right. And it's not like we want to pamper them and one day we are found wanting. We have parenting that we have issues, then at the end of it, it comes staring us in the face. And now we want to blame the devil, we want to blame people and all the society and all that. So TUC, we've heard. But some of these things, they have to understand. When we do the investigations and realize that truly, the people were employed as late as September, June, or whatever, why not? I don't think that if I was employed before this whole December thing, anybody has the right to touch me. It means that I was part of the budget that was drawn, so that the 3 months
employed in September who are being dismissed.
I said they were backdated, and we have evidences of those. So, like we are doing, most of these outfits, the journalists should go do their work, and they will get. It's maybe fine.
But it's a journalist's job to do. There's national security there. And the other investigative bodies.
This is not an investigation, so we want information. And mostly you are the fourth rep, whatever. So to bring us
allegation without
we are not making allegations. I'm giving you one evidence, and you said it's not enough. You are telling me that it is. I'm not saying yes, because they are supposed to put government on its toes. This is not an investigating thing to me. It's a fact finding, or you just need an information, maybe from ABC. This is institution. We've heard that this number of people have gone home. What happened here? Why were they sent home? By all means, you get
but if you're
whatever you're
asking if you're saying that people's employment days were backdated, that's bordering on criminality.
Yes.
Which means that's why I'm saying that the investigative bodies are there to do that. It's not just a media thing. You can't.
Now, let's say that Erica J came out with this.
Yeah.
So for me, I believe that, like you are saying, the investigation bodies should do their own thing.
Yeah.
Is it true what the CEO is saying or not? So that we get the truth out of it. We don't have to also sit and say that because he said it, okay, that's the truth. Fine. If he had not seen anything there, I'm not sure he will come out to say it. Because at the end of it, it is his government that he's putting online. Do you understand? So I don't think that he will just come out and say things that he's not sure of. He has said something whereby people are paid through checks to the banks. When we know that these outfits are not paid through checks, they are paid through the accountant general. So what happened? Why did you not pay through that place? Why are you paid through this one? So whoever is supposed to know and bring out whatever truth and facts that is in it should do that. And I'm sure that some of these things will put it to rest. If TUC is so much interested in some of these things, I pray that they themselves will also delve so much into it so that we help each other.
But
this is a nation.
To why they are issuing that statement. Have you read the statement?
I've not read the full statement on this issue.
If you read it, you
yeah, I understand, but they should still probe further.
Look,
they should. I don't think they have the fact. They have everything they need to know. Do you understand?
Okay.
So please, they should also do that.
Okay.
We shouldn't just be seeing that because now we want everybody to know that TUC we are also around. We want to talk about everything. We shouldn't be coming out of some of these things so that it gets to a point you become irrelevant. Seriously, you have to really let Ghanaians know that you are on top of your issues. You just don't come out and say things because you want to just let Ghanaians hear your voice. We really want to reset this nation. We really want the good of this nation, because this thing, when it affects one person, it affects us all. Because if a family member is at home, they will come to you. Me, I've always told people that always wish people around you well, so that their burden does not become your burden. Yeah. Because if you don't wish them when they are not doing well, if I'm not doing well, I run to Lawuratu. But if I'm doing well, she will chop her small money that she has, and I also chop the small one that I have.
Okay.
That is life for you.
Thank you.
One thing I've said is, and I've said it here before, that I try to avoid going back to refer, because I've come to learn that probably if we are just focused as the government and not using the NDC as a standard when Ghanaians gave us the mandate, maybe things would have been different. But that is debatable. So if our citizen says she's surprised the NDC, the MPP is talking about it, that's a lesson maybe they will learn the hard way. Employment is one challenge, especially youth employment. And it was one of the things the NDC campaigned on rigorously during the 2024 electioneering campaign. That's one of the things they used. You've come in. Definitely, appointees under the Office of Government Machinery obviously are political appointees. Nobody needs to tell them that the president is gone, your tenure is over. When you go into state institutions, there were some that are appointed, all heads and deputies and other relevant staff were appointed by the president or his representative. So if you haven't gone through public service to be confirmed, you know, the moment Public Services Commission confirms you, your mandated age of retirement is 60. But if the government in power comes in and decides that you're of the old stock, we don't think your thinking is in line with ours, and they want to terminate, it comes with compensation and other things. Some don't bother about it. Some also pursue those things. So you still have some heads of institutions still being there and doing that. But why would you punish youth who were looking for sustainable ways of living, of surviving, applied for a job, or saw an opportunity and applied, went through the process, got the appointment, and now just by virtue of the fact that they decided to get legal ways of surviving, they are being punished.
But if we're hearing it's true,
they are being
it's not
punished.
right for people
No,
to be
but is it
backdating
the person who was employed who has to be punished?
Good question.
Is it the youth that all they needed was a legal way of surviving? Are they the ones to be punished? Were they the ones who conducted the process? But you see, it's ironical that for a government that says that is still appointing people, even in places that were not even putting people. You have a finance minister who is supposed to be cutting costs, having 15 technical advisors. She can tell me if it's a lie. Finance minister has 15 technical advisors, and you are firing people. You can't even check with the perks that come with their appointment.
Does the position not require those advisors?
Look, if you worked in public sector,
yes,
the Ministry of Finance is one of the most resourced in terms of human resource, most organized. And the directors, the level. I remember even when I was in there, not the Ministry of Finance, but working with them because when you are working on donor-funded projects and all that, they do the supervision.
Yeah.
Right. You have the bilateral and multilateral heads at a point going to some of the donor institutions to go and learn and come back. So if really, it may have been done in the past. We all complained about it. You have to repeat it. You are hiring 15 technical advisors and you are dismissing young people who just want a legal way of survival.
All right, thank you.